I am Mel McGee. I have a couple companies here in Cleveland. I'm pretty busy. I built an AI operating system over the past 6-7 months, and I'm here to talk to you about it and how we at SkillSpout and we can code it, put AI on the org chart, how we work with it. I'm going to show you things, scars and all. So after I go here and find where my mouse is, here we go. All right, last year I hit a wall. It wasn't a dramatic kind of wall. It was the kind that we were spending more time on context than actually doing the work. Who's been there? So much going on that you can't possibly manage it all in your head. Forget about actually doing it. So, like I said, I run two companies. SkillSpout is an AI strategy, training, development organization, and we can code it as a tech training company. So, I have more than 3 email accounts, sales, finance, product teams, all going at once. I was using AI, the common tools you're all familiar with, but it wasn't doing the trick. But there's a difference between using AI and building into how you operate. So I rebuilt my organizations around it. And one promise before I show you all of this, there are a couple different kinds of voices out there. People selling you the most powerful thing you don't need, and other people telling you it's simpler than it really is. I'm not going to be either. This is not theory, it is evidence. So before I show you anything, we're going to review one quick math. At SkillSpout, we teach a human-first AI adoption maturity model, and we have 5 stages. Building my own system, I looked up one day, and I realized I quietly walked all the stages. So I want you to find yourself on this maturity model, and then you're going to watch how I climbed it. All right, 5 stages of human-first AI maturity. Take a look. Foundational AI. This is what we consider literacy, understanding basics of security, ethics, things like this. Applied AI. This might be if you're like in a Microsoft environment, using tools like using Copilot inside of Microsoft Outlook or Teams. Who understands this one? Yeah. Embedded AI. This is when you're starting to build out AI assistants and sharing them with your team members. You're getting there, and then you move to agentic. This is where things are coming at you. You got systems working over here, right? Your AI is crossing departmental boundaries at this point. And then finally, organizational AI, where AI is working in your whole team. This is like AI, you may have heard AI native, something post-agentic AI. You're going to scream back. 1, 2, I'll sign up for 8. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! All right. Where is your organization today? You can raise your hand. You might be in a couple of different places. I get it. Like this isn't all one easy rise up through maturity of AI. This people could be all over the place, but I want to see some hands now that we yelled. All right, foundational AI. You're in a foundational stage. Part of your team is just learning about AI. Maybe you're figuring out how to prompt it. Thanks for the honesty. All right. Apply. Okay. You might be in Microsoft Copilot, or maybe you're using some ChatGPT. Not a lot of connectors going on. Okay, decent amount of room. Embedded. All right. Lots of hands going up here. Lots of hands. Embedded. You might have AI assistance built, and you're using repeatable prompts over and over. Good. Who's doing agentic? Agentic, cool. All right, some agentic folks. Your systems are working. In the evening, you wake up, stuff's done, stuff's on your plate. Cultural. People in your team are all using AI, working within it. Cool. A few folks come talk to me after. I'm curious. I want to exchange notes with you. Okay, here's the evidence. I rebuilt my own company's operation on this architecture. The thing I want you to leave with is already on this slide. The hard part was never about the technology. The hard part's about people, right? The hard part is about changing how you work, changing how your team works. So there are days I run 13 assistants, product strategy, financial reviews, proposals, team coordination, and the system holds all of the context. But I had to build it. And this is real. This is me. Hello, this is my system. Pops up. Not a mock-up and not the terminal or the interface you'll see in a second. This is what I actually work in. Pops up on my system, gives me advice, etc. I stay in one place primarily, and it brings things to me, not the other way around. Quick definition. When I say post-agentic, I don't mean agents are over. It's just that they stopped being novelty. They are assumed infrastructure now, and the real work is redesigning how you operate with it. The question stops being where do we add an agent, and how does work get assembled, executed, governed, and improved, and who stays accountable. AI native isn't what the vendors say. AI native gets sold 4 wrong ways. Not everyone having a Copilot license, not a chatbot in every department, not having the most agents, and definitely not handing accountability to the machine. What it actually is, intent as the entry point. You express the outcome, and the system assembles the work. Let's think about this. I want a proposal. Give me a proposal. Boom, right? I don't have to figure out the work myself. It is done for me. That's the intent. Content is persistence. This is a big deal. The organization's knowledge is structured and reachable, not only by humans, but by agents as well. Execution is composable. What do I mean here? Any ideas? I have small Lego blocks of skills that know to call each other, that can ladder up, that can call another skill or agent. They're composable. Autonomy is governed. This is a big one. The agents have to prove themselves. Let the agents prove themselves. Don't govern your agents just because you're enthusiastic. Oh, I want the email system to run. It'll answer all of my emails. Oh, it sounds lovely, doesn't it? But the reality is AI is probabilistic. It's not deterministic. It's not a regular program. If this, then that you might be used to. For example, if you're using HubSpot or an email system, those are deterministic workflows. You know the email that's going to get sent out. AI, probabilistic. You can sort of assume what might happen, but you're not quite 100% sure. So, autonomy for these kind of things needs governance. humans have to oversee it and earn the workflows, earn trust. It's not granted. And in every completed workflow can make the system smarter. And this is a hard lesson I learned. I started with different skills making this, like, oh, there's self-improving skills. How novel, right? After every run, oh, here's a mistake. Let's fix the mistake. Here's a mistake. Let's fix the mistake. But the whole system itself, if I have a sales process, at the end of the day, don't I want to know how that sale ended? Am I done as a salesperson or a sales leader if I just say, oops, proposal's out, meeting done, check? No, that's not done. What's done is the result. So feeding that back in and improving, think A/B testing. Okay, 5 layers. A model to accountability. This is what lives underneath my system. Model. Model is thinking. A brilliant new hire with amnesia. Rented. Your competitor can get this same model. This is not yours to own. Context. This is also part of the AI brain. You might start hearing organizations, people refer to the AI brain. This is what they mean. This is your context. It's the knowing. It's your data, your source of truth files, your voice. That's the AI brain. The one layer that compounds and is yours to own. The harness. What's a harness? Tools, servers, connectors, retrieval. It's like the body. Operating system. These are the skills, the workflows, the chains, the AI assistants, the bots, the things that know how to do something. Last but not least, governance, the rules. Tiers, gates, run records, named accountability. The thinking part is rented. The knowing, that's yours. An uncomfortable truth that I think we all are starting to realize. You have been the integration layer. You've been the middleware between systems that don't talk to each other, and every decision started with a tour of 6 apps. Your email, your calendar, a CRM, how about a shared drive, project systems, dashboards, the web, LinkedIn, etc. That's the inversion we're making here. I say, prepare me for the 2 p.m. meeting and the layer assembles context. The app stays the system of record. The AI becomes the system of interaction. It starts with human intent. AI operating layer, and it moves to systems and agents to propose or completed work. And finally, and this is the most important part before anything leaves my hands, especially going to a client or an outside source, it goes through me, or it goes through somebody on the team. And that's a rule I made for myself. It is my rule, and it requires my human judgment. All right, let's take a look at a sales meeting, the post-agentic way, right? Okay, 6 moves. Meeting detected. I don't even have to tell it I have a meeting. Why? Because it's looking at my calendar. It has access to my calendar. It sees sales meeting, sees it on the horizon. It prepares for it. So at this point, it assembles it. It assembles what? Let's count. The CRM, past emails, calendars, prior transcripts you've had with a client, LinkedIn, open web, our own documents, at least seven, and then it writes the brief in our own voice. 7 sources. I don't know about you. Do you do that before every call? I don't. I'll be the first to admit it. Like, if I ever did that whole sequence for one call, wow, mind blown. You don't have time for that. Guess what? AI does. Brings it back to me. Pretty cool. Deliver. So at that point, the brief arrives before the call. Where does it land for me? Sometimes it lands in my Google chat. Here's the briefing. Click it. Boom. Sometimes it pops up like you saw in that other screen. Oh, you have a meeting coming up. Or you can put it on the calendar. Then after the meeting, it will process that meeting. It figures it out. It finds the transcript itself. Goes into Google, searches Drive or email, finds the transcript. Pulls the CRM record from HubSpot. Reads my voice, like I have files with my voice in anti-AI tone, so it sounds like me. Drafts the follow-up, attaches the files to a draft, writes notes and the outcomes to HubSpot for me, and pushes all of the other files to the drive so that other people and other machines can all find it there. Making sense? But before anything is sent to the client, it stops. Sitting in drafts, I go and I look and I read the email and I check my proposal. Make sure though, often we'll adjust something here or there. Hit send. That pause is governance. Last but not least, outcome captured. Again, after this loop, we're not done. What happened? Was it successful? Wasn't it successful? What could I learn? What did the machine learn, etc. from that last step? All right. I'm going to give you a demo. So you saw the terminal, the little pop-up that I typically work in. I also made an interface because a lot of this happens sort of behind the scenes. It's very hard to visualize. The interface, it's very simple to create. You can tell the machine to create it. Create an interface for this and tweak it and the like. But this will hopefully give you an idea of how somebody like this functions.
This is Exocog, the operating system McGee built to run her business. She asked it to assemble a live demo and produce this walkthrough. Everything here is the real software. Only
My
the
system
client
did
is
this.
fictional,
So to make
nothing
this for me.
private is on screen. Mel usually drives it from a command line fast, but hard to follow along with, so this is the visual view. The idea behind it is simple. The system does the work, but anything that leaves the business waits for a human. Each morning, on its own, before anyone sits down, it puts together a briefing and reads through email, chat, and meeting transcripts. Anything that needs a decision is waiting here on the left in the attention queue. Take one workflow, start to finish, the sales process. It begins on the calendar when a meeting appears. A proposal review with Halvern Manufacturing. Nothing was started by hand. The meeting itself is the cue to begin. Open it, and the preparation is already there. The people in the room, a place for the transcript, and the notes for the meeting written ahead of time. The prep is finished before the call ever starts.
You could click it and it would open up a little window for you showing the notes.
Every client has a single home. This is Halvern. On the left is the work, moving through the pipeline from drafting the proposal to the decision that's now with the client. And on the right, everything the workflow has produced, the briefing, the transcript, the debrief, a coaching review, the proposal, the deck, all of it generated along the way as the deal moved. This is the proposal deck the client sees. Strategy first, training second, in 3 phases, each one tied to an outcome the engagement is measured against. And the proposal behind it, the full scope, and the timeline to be up and running before the client's busy season.
obviously a demo.
After the call, the transcript turns into a debrief, what happened, some coaching, and the next steps. From that, it drafts the follow-up email and the update to the CRM. But look closely at that email. It's written and it's sitting in the draft since sent. It hasn't gone anywhere. Because before anything leaves the business, the system asks, right here in the queue, send the follow-up to Dana, approve it, or hold it. So nothing goes out without that yes. And when the work is finished, the system asks one more thing, what actually happened. The answer is saved as the outcome, so the next run starts a little smarter.
Gets outcomes not only from itself.
That's the shape of it. The work runs on its own, and the decisions stay with the person who's accountable for them.
Seems pretty simple, doesn't it? It's hard to see all the stuff going on behind the scenes. However, I want you to notice that content arrives assembled. There's a pause at one of the boundaries that I've placed. I put a trust boundary there. I don't want these emails just getting shot out. Who knows what it's going to say? I don't even want a 1% chance of that. That is why I found you might have a different interest there, but that's why I want that boundary. And finally, the outcome prompt at the end, right? Don't just leave it to be, oh, here's a good proposal, check. That's how we all get in trouble, right? Proposal, check. No, then what is the real outcome? So we can have a self-learning organization, very different than what we've had. So this is what built actually looks like. This isn't all of the skills and all of the things in the system, but it's a cute little word cloud that I had the system come up with for you. What's in there? Let's take a look. Proposal generation, LinkedIn drafting. That's something I do a lot. I have something called Money Monday. It keeps me on track. Weekly reflect, vision and direction briefs, pricing cascades, video creation, like amazingly cool video creation. Brand assets are in there, stat channers, PDF form fillers. Boy, did that help me out the other day when I was filling out a government document and faxing it. So at that point, I had to pull faxing into it. Anyway, it's kind of crazy. We're talking about this and faxing is involved. However, the out system does it all. Prints, all sorts of fun things. Okay. When all of this happens for you, what I have found is I become the bottleneck. Oh my gosh. Review. At 6 a.m., a briefing auto assembles, shoots out to me. Here's your day. Okay, great. I'm not doing any CRM entries. I'm multiplying my time like crazy. At first I was like, oh, I'm saving 4 hours a week. Now I'm like, I'm multiplying my time by 15, and those are crazy days. I don't think that's sustainable. However, I become the constraint in the work that I have found myself doing is reviewing, judging, saying that's not good enough. And I have found people often ask, what do you do with the time back? Well, I tend to do, I don't know about you. Who likes to work? Some of us don't want to admit that we're workaholics, but we are. So what do you end up doing? You work a little hard. You work a little hard, right? But another thing I found that I started really doing is leaning into what is good enough, right? What does shippable look like? What would it look like if I lingered here a little bit longer? What would happen? What would it look like if I'm like, I want to throw a word cloud on here just to show people some of the skills. It should have movement so they're not totally bored by me. And I can also become the bottleneck. AI potentially should take the first pass. I believe a human should always take the last one. Every time. All right. So you know where you are, right? Some of us are foundations. Other of us are like agentic and going, I have cultural. My machine will beat your machine. And I'll say, wait, let's talk. All right. Now the question that forced itself on me is that the higher I climbed, the one that I get asked the most, where your stuff actually go. Does AI go on the org chart? How did the action? Now, listen, I am not a HR, consultant. I am not that. But how would I envision it on the org chart? And what do I know based on research and my own feeling of this, right? Because I'm experiencing, what do I know? How can I help you all get it there? Most leaders answer literally. And I've been here. Sarah will attest to this. Oh, yes. Let's put AI web developer right in a box on the org chart. I'm not trying to play a leader out here. Most leaders do answer that literally. A title, a seat, a box. However, recently, within the past couple of weeks, coincidentally, a randomized study of over 1,200 managers shows what happens when they do. Across all managers, the effect was small, but in the companies that already put AI on the chart, it was sharp. 3 numbers. 16% less review, 18% fewer errors caught. How about this one? And I've been so guilty of this. Oh, I'm ashamed. 44% passed the buck. They leaned harder on someone else to review. Yeah, I've done that. Accountability moved off the human that owned it. And then 9 points, 9% accountability lost. They held themselves less accountable and pushed the responsibility onto the AI system. Bob did it. I didn't do it. That's Bob. So the instinct here is right. Like you want to put it in a seat on the org chart because it sort of feels human. But the geometry is wrong. An agent in my world no longer gets a box. It gets an owner. And the boxes stay human because accountability is on that chart and accountability stays human. Okay, the org chart answers who reports to whom, right? It can't answer how an outcome gets produced, or at least this level, where AI acts or who's accountable when an agent gets it wrong. Kevin, the AI analyst, is going to get it wrong once in a while. And most people drop the agent in as its own box. But what happens then? People feel replaceable. This was shown too. Fear increases. People feel like you're going to replace them with AI. It doesn't do much for your culture. And that's belief. When you start saying, Kevin, my AI analyst, which sounds pretty fun and cool. If you want Kevin, the AI analyst on a org chart. But when you start anthropomorphizing a machine, you start attributing all sorts of other qualities to it, including accountability, responsibility. How about the scapegoat, Kevin, on the org chart? One person owns the system. Everyone who uses it owns the results. I'll go back here for a second so you see it. One named human is accountable. I'll go over this a little bit more detail. All right. Here's ownership in the wild. I was building a skill to fill a government form and fax it back. And it was placing the fields incorrectly. So I told it to test itself and keep going until it was right. So it was testing itself. Whoops, I got that wrong. Whoops, I got that wrong. Taking a screenshot, comparing it, etc. And it took ownership and iterated until it was. So this is how I typically work. I'm usually in a little console. Has anybody worked on a command line before? Yeah, good. So this shouldn't intimidate you. If it does, don't worry about it. There's all sorts of interfaces you can use to different tools. Okay, so how to put AI on the org chart correctly according to research. 5 rules. Agents live in a registry, not on reporting lines. Inventory with permissions, prompts, scope. Govern agents as inventory, not identities. Name them after workflows, never personas. Engagement health monitor, right? That makes sense. Who's a programmer? Who has any programming experience? A few of us, don't label your variables X, label them something that you'll remember. Your printer soul. Well, thank you for it. All right. One named human owner. Autonomy is tiered and earned. Set the split per work stream. What do I mean? You don't say, my whole company's going agentic. It's all AI driven. Do it per work stream. Certain workflows, processes can be less governed. For example, in the morning, I have a briefing that comes in. What does it do overnight? It's grabbing all my transcripts, all my meetings, all these calendar things, emails, etc. Now it does this with PII and stuff. There's a lot of governance going on in the system so that I don't get prompt injection attacks and stuff like that. Keep that in mind. However, it's doing this on its own. I trust it to do that, and it's showing it to me. Nobody else, and it has rules and boundaries, so I'm okay with it working on its own. Other workflows, like the proposal workflow, I'm not sending a proposal just blindly to a potential client. No, thank you. Bad idea. So I always make that one more human-centric. And I have trust tiers and ladders to do this. So here's the whole thing in one frame. On the left, the mistake. The agent is a box in the trunk. It's where accountability leaks. Kevin did it. On the right side is the fix. The chart stays human and the agent hangs off one accountable owner by a dotted line. In the table underneath is what the org chart can't show per work stream, what the AI drafts and where the human leads. Each with an autonomy tier that I was just talking to you about. That is earned, not granted. Most of the workflows stay human purposely. Here's the governance running on its own. It ran a PII, personally identifiable information check, and it classified the document, pushed it to the right place, then notice I used that route a lot and offered to add it to the index. I didn't ask for any of this. Five lessons learned the hard way, meaning I got each of these wrong first. Number 1, workflow comes before agent. I automated a process I didn't understand, and I got a faster mess I could no longer see. Woo, go me. Ask what outcome you're producing and where it stalls before you add an agent. 2, context is the asset. Models commoditize. ChatGPT, Claude, Opus, all of those, they commoditize. Your context is what you own. That's what compounds. If it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Keep that in mind as well. If it isn't written down to the AI, it didn't happen. So context is a very, very important asset. Autonomy is a dial. It's not a switch. It's a dial. Reversible work. Who's ever heard that from, I think it was Bezos. He has a rule. Is it a one-way door or is it a two-way door? If it is a one-way door, you can't easily turn around. Maybe that never runs automatically. Maybe if it's super easy, it's something lightweight, it's more autonomous. Your reversible actions get approved one at a time. New capabilities in my system always start off gated, and then are to earn autonomy through running correctly a whole bunch of times and then asking me if it can be promoted. The loop only learns what you tell it happened. I keep telling you that, right? It is so important. And wow, did I wish I knew that starting off. However, the reality is agents are growing. Execution is pretty easy to log it. Outcomes are not. If you've ever sat in like a quarterly meeting, you'll say, what happened? How did we get here? We wanted to be here. This is over here. This will help you. Finally, you can't manage an agent you can't see into. You don't put an agent on a PIP. You talk to the developer. Ownership without a line to the builder is just a name in a box. What I like to do is have someone on the team own certain parts of the agent. What does that mean? They will own the agents. Like, is it going haywire? How is the context for this agent? Is it pointed at the right place? What does it look like? Is it pointing properly? Right? This is not magic. It's accountability. Have that person do that. They're responsible for how the agent works. Do they talk to a builder? Sure, they probably should talk to a builder. Those should be, two should be in communication. But it doesn't excuse everyone else who is actually using this agent, from looking at the results and from feeding those results to the person who owns the agent or who has ownership accountability for the agent. If you find a wrong result, don't just push it through. It's not okay. Stop. Tell somebody, hey, this isn't working right. You can't put an agent on a PIP. This is the loop. Why? I flagged a pattern. It flagged a pattern across 8 sessions. So this is part of the self-learning thing. And asked to govern it. Then asked me how the session felt. That feedback is how it learns how I work. And honestly, how I grow. So I learned from it. I might say, oh, Mel, you said tired as how you feeling for the last 10 days in a row. You have to stop. Let's put a rule around this that you stop. I have it doing stuff like that for me as well. So my favorite part this morning after I rebuilt these very slides, which, by the way, I would have never done before I had agents. Never would I be like, tear this whole deck apart. It's not good enough, right? Tore this whole thing apart. My system, circus, my newsletter ideas on its own. And ranked the lesson I just gave you. You can't put an agent on a PIP as my #1 story to write for my next LinkedIn newsletter. Pretty cool. The loop doesn't just learn how I work. It produces. Content becomes a byproduct for me, which I love because I don't know about you, but if I'm doing thought leadership or writing something, I don't really have a lot of time to say, let me review my life and figure out what thing I should write and pontificate upon for the whole world. No, this brings it towards me and ranks. Okay, what's the playbook for you if you're looking to do something like this? You don't need to use my system. There are other operation systems. You can build this. Heck, things like Cloud Cowork are getting really good at this, and Microsoft's adopting that too. So these things will be there soon enough. But hopefully I'm giving you a sneak peek around the corner right now about what is going to happen so that you can start grasping possibilities and think about how to govern your systems. And if you take one thing to work tomorrow, one workflow, something that's high frequency across systems, painful, that's important, right? Measurable is important. One named owner, never a committee. You know that. One measurable outcome decided before you build. One explicit trust boundary where humans should be involved, maybe more. And at least this is arbitrary, at least 20 measured positive runs in a row, at least. Don't scale the prototype, scale the validated pattern. And these are principles, again, not a product. What transfers isn't my stack, it isn't my product. What transfers, because a human owns it, every user owns their results, and autonomy is earned. The winners here won't be the organizations with the most agents, they'll be the ones that turn judgment into usable content, workflows into learning systems, and autonomy into something earned. When someone asks where AI sits on your org chart, AI doesn't get a box, it gets an owner. The boxes stay human because accountability stays human. Your job stops being the doer of every task. You become the orchestrator and the human who stays accountable. One workflow, one owner, one boundary, one metric, 20 observed runs. That's how you put AI on the org chart. Start tomorrow. Thank you.